On March 20th, 2013, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan came to Tuskegee at the invitation of Students for Education and Economic Development, SEED Incorporated, for a visit featuring a series of unforgettable events. The minister was received at a presidential reception held in his honor by Dr. Gilbert Rochon and his wife, First Lady Patricia Rochon, and distinguished deans and scientists of the university. Minister Farrakhan stayed in the city for 4 days, visiting Tuskegee University museums, archives, and historic sites, and speaking 6 times in a whirlwind tour organized by Scott Muhammad, co-director of SEED Incorporated. Frank Bishop McDuffie, headmaster of the Laurenburg Institute, and Brother Martin Muhammad, a former SEED apprentice and CEO of Supreme Lifestyle, joined SEED for a 2.5-hour-long presentation that ignited a fiery weekend of inspiration for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He concluded this historic tour by visiting with the dignified matriarch of the voting rights movement, Mrs. Amelia Boynton Robinson, and announcing that he would be returning to launch the 3-year economic program from Tuskegee at a luncheon hosted by Mayor Johnny Ford. But for many, it was the PowerPoint presentation on SEED Incorporated's work in Greene County, Alabama, teaching children how to research, develop, produce, and market agricultural products by the organization's co-directors Scott Muhammad and Erica Henry that set the tone for his experience. The husband and wife team laid out point by point an elegant solution to the problem of food security in distressed communities, starting with Tuskegee. Please enjoy Brother Farrakhan's response to the SEED Food Security Initiative.
Brother Scott, if I may, if we run out of time, run out of time. But I'm sitting here inspired by what I heard and saw, and I wanted to make a comment. If this is not the time or the place, but there's so much that has come to my mind just looking at you, listening to you, Bishop and Brother. And I think I would feel choked off if I couldn't respond to the beauty of what I heard and saw. To Brother Scott, Sister Erica, to all of you who are present, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First, I want to say to Brother Scott, I was so inspired by what I heard and what I saw. And I see that God has prepared in Brother Scott and his wife and those with him an answer to problems in the inner cities, and not only in the inner cities, but everywhere I've gone in the world. What you have done with SEED can be multiplied 100 times, 1,000 times.
That's right.
And we have to help SEED be a national and international entity, because what you've done, you have proved the wisdom of James Bevel and the wisdom of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And this is the way that Reverend Bevel lives. And his contribution to the rise of our people will etch his name forever in the history of our development. And the last thing I wanted to say, you know, I'm sitting listening, and I'm so inspired by what I heard. The thought came to me of what the Holy Quran teaches of what a messenger is to do. See, the messenger is only responsible to deliver the message.
That's right.
Once the message is delivered,
That's right.
the people have a responsibility to act on that message,
That's right.
and the fruit of that message will become a reality.
That's right.
And what I'm seeing here this morning is people responding to the message
That's right.
in the way we should respond. And
That's right.
the words of my brother and great teacher here, we should learn the difference between being worked and working.
That's right.
And so I want to thank you, brother, from the depth of our heart for allowing us the privilege of hearing what seed represents. And I'm sure working with Dr. Ridgely and these young people, this can be done all over America, and the inner cities will thrive. And so I thank you. Yes?
They have allowed us to keep the classroom and then move class to another room. And so,
We thank them. I saw in what I heard this morning the answer to the problems that we face in the inner cities and the problems that we found in the Caribbean, where this young man said when he put his hands in the soil, it did something to your mind.
Yes,
Yes.
And because we come from the soil,
That's right.
or I should say our bodies
That's right.
are made from the soil, but our essence comes from only God. And when these two hook up, spirit and flesh, in a righteous manner, the result is solution to problems. So whatever we can do as the nation of Islam to encourage your work, it will be the fruition of the vision of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yes, sir. That's right.
And so I pray that you will continue and grow, and whatever we can do to facilitate that growth, we want to absolutely back you in what you're doing. Now, to Brother Bishop. Is Bishop your name, or is it a title?
Actually, it's a nickname. My name is Frank, but if you came to Laurinburg and said, well, look, Frank, they'd say, pass, I'm a junior. So, Bishop is what I became.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed hearing you and how this area is really an incubator for national and international development. We came through the Caribbean, and I was talking to prime ministers, heads of government, and everywhere we went, the words of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came back to me. He said, brother, God has gone in front of you and made friends for you all the way around the earth. And I wondered what he meant by that. Because why would I need friends? I thought that the friends that Allah would make, he would make them for my teacher, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But everywhere we went this time, I met premiers, prime ministers, heads of banks. All of them heard the word from my teaching over these 57 years of my preaching. And now this is Prime Minister so-and-so. This is the head of the opposition. All of them had experienced the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad from our lips. And now I introduce them to Will Allen and growing power. But you have an element to that takes it a step beyond. And you know, Will is really a great agricultural giant. And for me, that giant needs to have this kind of hooking up with other giants. Yes. And in you, Brother Scott, I met another giant. You know, thank you, son. I understand. The scripture says, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. And for me, I add a few words to that. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God everywhere they look. And I saw and heard God this morning in my brother and his presentation. And it's our ability to recognize God in each other that makes us work closely together for the common good. Let me close with this. When you think of a messenger delivering a message, it is like God raising a cloud. He uses the sun and the moon to draw the water up from the earth's surface, and it forms clouds. And then with the winds, he blows the cloud, as the word, over a dry, dead earth. And when the cloud gets heavy with water, it comes back to the earth depending on the current of air that the cloud is in. If it's in a warm current, it comes back as rain. If it's in a cold current, then it comes back as snow or ice or hail. So when a messenger of God spreads water, water never alters what it touches. It only brings out what is in. And so that's why a messenger of God is so important to any process. Because the messenger spreads the message, and the message is water. And each human being is a seed. And in that seed is what God has deposited in the breast of every human being of himself.
That's right, come on.
And he has never created a human being in which he did not place himself.
Go ahead.
Not one.
Go ahead.
So the whole secret of life is how the water is spread. And the warmth of the sun and the fertility of the earth causes the seed to swell and burst and send a root down, then a shoot up, and then you're able to recognize what was in that seed. Because all seeds seem to look similar. But the seed in a seed state cannot glorify God. But it's putting the seed in the right earth under the right circumstances that brings out what is within. And that's why a messenger of God is the most important act that God could do in raising a people. That's the point I'm getting at. And this is why the Jews have been so powerful, because God sent them prophet after prophet after prophet, and no one can deny that they have profited from exercising the good of what the prophets taught. They just used it in a way that exploited the ignorance of others rather than sharing the richness of what God gave them. And this is the value of Reverend Bevel. This is the value of anyone whom God has blessed with knowledge, that you share what God has blessed you with like a messenger. And what I saw and heard this morning was a perfect representation of water falling on good soil. And it brought out a Scott Muhammad. We used to always talk about how a man and a woman, they work together for that glory of doing God's will. And you and your wife have proved that point. And what you grew in your garden, and what you've done with young people, that proves the point that farming is the essence of all labor. It starts from our relationship with the earth. So I want to thank you again for allowing me this privilege to have these few words. Thank you very much.